Hello, Eagle fans. Well, Liberty's late laying her eggs according to her historical timetable. I'm sure you want to know, is there still hope for eggs and eaglets this season? To that, I answer yes, absolutely. Join me today as we examine why today and tomorrow, February 18th and 19th, might be pivotal to explaining why Liberty is later than her historical first egg date. I know a lot of you are probably worried about Liberty and her ability to lay eggs in her advanced years. She's now on order of 24 to 26 years old. It's impossible to be certain as to what's happening now, but I think we can explore a few possibilities, particularly if we look at the data. So let's address a few issues up front. Is Liberty healthy? I don't see anything that shows me that she's not healthy. We've seen her eating and nesting and mating, so all of the normal things are going on. We can't know that 100% about what's going on with her, but by outward appearances, she appears healthy. Another aspect: do aging eagles keep laying eggs? I did a little research on that, and some sources cite a decline in egg production, eggshell thickness, and other issues with egg formation. But I could not find any source that says that a healthy female stops laying eggs at any particular age range. So I believe we cannot jump to conclusions right now, especially since Liberty has never failed to lay an egg. This includes all the time between her first recorded egg laid in 2007. So while we all share concerns, let's look at the possibilities of normal variations in her egg laying as demonstrated by Liberty's egg laying data. Let's look at this first chart. It shows the dates that Liberty has laid her first egg in trackable seasons since 2009. Liberty's egg-laying cycle, measured here by the date that the first egg of the clutch is laid, has varied by as much as 11 days from 2009 to 2024. Those dates are from February 5th to February 15th. Compared to other eagles, based on several sources that I researched, the starts of annual egg-laying cycles for individual female bald eagles have been observed to range from 7 to 14 days on the calendar from year to year. So Liberty's range of 11 days falls in line with the source ranges. Back to the chart. While the data is color-coded by the male mate that Liberty had in that year, and she has had 3, including Guardian, that color coding by default also applies to her early years, middle years, and now late years with Guardian, which is the green shading. As an aside, I used to do this chart to show the mates with dates, not thinking that there was any effect on fertility with the female. My recent research indicates that the male might have effect on the female egg-laying cycle, though the sources cite only possibilities as opposed to facts as to why that happens. Liberty laid eggs all throughout her historical egg-laying cycle during her early and middle years with mates Patriot and Spirit. That's the blue and orange shading. However, it is plainly obvious to me, though not statistically significant, that her later years, which are those with Guardian depicted by the green shading, have all been from mid-season to late season. If we look at the green shading as compared to the other shadings, there might be a trend of Liberty's egg-laying cycles since 2021. It might suggest a movement of the initiation of egg-laying to a later time by as much as 4 days. A huge if this is happening, then the latest first egg might be laid as late as February 19th, which would be tomorrow, with second and third eggs possible February 22nd and February 25th to 26th, respectively. Let's move to the second chart that shows the dates when egg numbers 1, 2, and 3 have been laid. Egg 1 is the top chart with the yellow highlights. Egg 2 is the middle chart with green highlights. And here on this chart, green does not mean guardian. Egg 3 is the bottom chart with orange highlights. The slanted lines I just added here show the flow of the first, second, and third eggs, typically on a 3-day interval, but in a couple of cases, 4 days interval for the third egg. If you look at today's date on the chart, February 18th, you'll see that we are 3 days past Liberty's latest ever recorded first egg date, which was February 15th. Let's look at a few possibilities explaining this late occurrence of the first egg. These include, but are not limited to, number 1, Liberty is still in the cycle of her first clutch of eggs, but the first and or second eggs have already been lost during formation within her body. 2, look at the chart for eggs 2 and 3. If the first and or second eggs were lost during formation within Liberty's body, then she is still within known first clutch dates for the second and third eggs, which has arrived in previous years as late as February 18th and February 21st, respectively. Number 3, if Liberty loses all eggs in the first clutch, then there is a possibility that our hormones will trigger a second clutch of eggs. This can happen anywhere from 4 days, that is referenced from a study of captive bald eagles, to as much as 60 days after loss of the first clutch. That's an extreme example. A more normal interval between the first and second clutches might be from 2 to 5 weeks. I would ask you to consult a source, elfruler.com. That's ELFRULER.com. She has great information on bald eagle second clutches. So why are today and tomorrow, February 18th and 19th, potentially pivotal days? Here's why I believe that. If Liberty is on a late egg laying cycle within historical time limits, then February 18th is a very common day for her to lay her second egg. Now think of it this way. If the first egg was lost during formation within Liberty's body, then an egg laid now, say February 18th or 19th, would be viewed as the first egg, while historical data would suggest that it might be the second to be formed. Also, the trend of Liberty's egg-laying cycles since 2021 might suggest an extension of the egg-laying initiation to a later time by as much as 4 days. If that is happening, then the latest first egg might be laid February 19th, with second and third eggs possible February 22nd and February 25th or 26th, respectively. Now I have no concrete evidence that Liberty's cycle is moving as much as 4 days later. That is only suggested by the limited data from the last few years while her mate has been guardian. So again, that big if her cycle is moving to a later date, then we could see that eggs laid between February 18th and February 26th might be associated with a first clutch. So if that trend is not happening, it's possible that eggs laid between February 18th and February 26th would be associated with a second clutch. I don't think we're ever going to know the answer to that if it happens. In my opinion, eggs laid after February 26th are much more likely to be associated with a second clutch than a first clutch. Liberty, what's her history? She's only laid a second clutch once. In 2017, she lost her nest with eggs in it in early February. She moved back to the Turtle Bay nest to lay her second clutch somewhere around, our best guess is 27 to 35 days later. So that would be 4 to 5 weeks. So what we see with Liberty right now could be associated with a late first clutch, loss of eggs during internal formation, and or a natural extension to the late side of Liberty's egg-laying cycle. Additionally, if she has already lost eggs internally, there are recorded instances of second clutches being laid even if no egg was laid in a first clutch. If we get into an obvious second clutch situation, I will provide more information at that time. For now, my friends, we have every reason to maintain high hope for eggs and eaglets this season. I will try to answer your questions. If you make a comment, please keep in mind that there is no way for me to know exactly what's going on, and what I've presented is just theory based on information from recorded cases. Until next time, my friends, be encouraged, be safe, and be well.